Welcome to Inside Cottonwood. I'm Mayor Diane Joens, your host, and we have a special guest today, a travel writer by the name of Roger Naylor. And I don't know of anyone that hasn't heard of Roger Naylor or read some of his books or read his articles in the Arizona Republic, Arizona Highways, and numerous other magazines. So welcome, Roger.
Thank you. Thanks for having me again. I appreciate it.
We are so happy to be able to visit with you again today. And since the last time we visited, you've written a new book. You've published a new one, and so we're going to talk quite a bit about that book today and let people know where they can purchase it. But I always, when I read your works, I always think it's interesting that you describe yourself as a travel guy, a travel writer who hates to travel, except for the Southwest.
Exactly. I don't go anywhere. I have a very narrow specialty. That's my range. I write 95% of what I write is about Arizona, and but I do range out a bit around the Southwest and write about a little bit in Utah and California and New Mexico, our neighbors, but Arizona's the place that I care about and know about. So I stick with that.
Study and write about. So you have done some travels, I've noticed, down in the Chiricahuas and southern Cochise County.
Cochise County is one of my favorite corners of Arizona.
Which is where I grew up. I don't know if you know that.
No, I did not.
But I lived in Sierra Vista as a child. And actually moved to Sierra Vista before it was Sierra Vista. It was a little town called Fry.
Wow.
Right by Fort Huachuca. Right when the fort was opening up in the 50s. So I know the beauty of that area. Have you ever been to Carr Canyon up on the Huachucas?
Yeah,
the
that's
waterfall
a beautiful drive. I wrote a scenic drive story on Carr Canyon for Arizona Highways a few years back and stuff. And I'll be down in Sierra Vista doing a book signing at the library in a couple of months here coming up.
You've been very busy with those book signings.
I have.
Like all over the state.
Yeah. Well, this is a statewide book, this latest book. It's called Boots and Burgers, an Arizona Handbook for Hungry Hikers. And this is actually my love letter to Arizona disguised as a hiking and dining guide. And so it includes every corner of the state. And so, yeah, I've been traveling around and doing signings. I just got back right before the holidays. I was in Lake Havasu City and Yuma, and before that I was down in Tucson and Phoenix and Prescott and Payson I've been, and about to start back up again and hit some of the other places.
I kind of follow you through Facebook mostly, is where I kind of keep up with you and know where you're going. And
I've got a great Facebook page, if I do say so myself.
You do have a great
Since I get to ramble around and see all these places and travel, I just post my stories and my photos and my travels, and so people can follow along with that.
Right.
So I always appreciate it.
So if they want to follow along on Facebook, they just ask for Roger Naylor, ROGERNAYLOR.
Yeah,
and
it's
you have
Roger Naylor, I-N-A-Z.
I-N-A-Z,
yeah, and it's a business page, so there's no friending involved. It's just you just come over and like the page, and
then it'll pop up in your feed, and you'll see what Roger's doing.
Exactly.
So let's talk a little bit about Boots and Burgers and some of the places that you've been and the places you've seen. I know that you sent some photos.
I did. Well, can I read you a little bit from Boots and Burgers?
Would you please?
To give you an idea of, I'll read you the first words in the book, and this will tell you a little bit about what I see as a Boots and Burgers day.
And I love this first page with the boots and the burgers.
Exactly. Here's the scenario. I roll out of bed and point my truck toward a trail. I hike into the Arizona outback under a high arched sky with a lingering hint of moonlight. Dawn wounds the eastern horizon as coyote yips recede in the distance. I walk for miles. I wander lonesome lands, a maze of canyons, a canopied forest, or a snarl of desert. It doesn't matter. I adore every square inch of this heart-wringing, soul-squeezing state. The silence soothes me. Wildlife swoops and scampers at the edge of my vision. The lustrous light of morning sharpens to a hard glare. The twisted trail pulls me deeper into wilderness as wildflowers perfume a subtle breeze. Past noon, the sun turns squinty-eyed mean. The heat begins to stalk me with a knife in its teeth. I walk for miles. On the drive home, I stop at a diner or cafe, a casual joint where no one bats an eye at my dusty boots and sweat-streaked shirt. The waitress calls me hun and hustles out my drinks. I don't need a menu because I know exactly what I want. I chug ice water and my stomach rumbles until my burger arrives. I bite into the grill-kissed slab of beef. Right there, that's my favorite day of all. That's Halloween, Christmas, and the spring equinox rolled into one. Walk off a few calories and then pack them on again. I admire the zen-like simplicity of it. I'll take a Boots and Burgers day anytime I can get it.
And I always just love the way that you can, the way that you have with words. Sometimes I'm just sitting by my computer laughing out loud at things that you say, and then you just have, there's a beauty about the way you write. You're able to express what you're seeing so that the reader can experience it also, and I don't think everyone has that skill or that gift.
Thank you. That's very kind of you to say so. And as we were talking about a little earlier, yes, my background was in humor. I started as a stand-up comic years ago, although writing was all I knew. All I was ever interested in. I knew from the time I was a kid that I was going to be a writer. The first time I read Mark Twain when I was 14 or 15, and I knew I wanted to make people feel the way he made me feel. So writing was but I didn't know how to make a living as a writer for years, so I kind of meandered about. Yeah. I worked in radio, and I did stand-up comedy, and so when I started writing, I was writing humor for magazines and newspapers around the country and doing that, and I enjoyed it. But in the meanwhile, once I moved out to Arizona, I'm living such a great life. I'm rambling around the state and hiking all over the place and discovering these little diners and cafes and exploring these small towns. And I thought, this is what I want to tell people about. This is what I want to write about. So I started sending some stuff to Arizona Highways, and lo and behold, they're publishing it. And pretty soon I'm writing for Arizona Highways, and then I'm writing for the Arizona Republic, and all of a sudden I'm an Arizona travel writer, and now an author. So it's worked out very well, but I think what comes through is my passion for this state. We live in the most beautiful state in the country.
Oh, we do.
And everything I do everything I write is designed to encourage people to get out and see it in every way possible and stuff. So that's what I think that you recognize, that I'm really writing something I'm very passionate about. I'm fortunate. I'm not a reviewer. I don't have to go write negative things about a place. If I find a place I don't like, I just don't write about it and stuff. And so I get to write just fun, joyful positive things. And
yeah, you don't have that negativity to drag you down. Your soul can soar at all times with positiveness and happiness. And do you know it's already time to take a break?
Oh, okay.
So we're going to stop it for a moment, and we'll be right back with more exciting photos and Inside Cottonwood.
Headaches and back pain are two of the top reasons people choose Mosing Chiropractic. Dr. Mosing also treats symptoms of numbness and tingling, as well as those injured in auto or work accidents. Dr. Mosing uses gentle chiropractic techniques, as well as electric muscle stim and cold laser therapies. Call Dr. Mosing today at 634-0733. No spine left behind at Mosing Chiropractic.
Welcome back to Inside Cottonwood. Mayor Diane Joens, your host, with Roger Naylor, a travel writer. And just recently wrote Boots and Burgers. And we're going to talk a little bit about some photos that you can find in this book. and learn about places that Roger has traveled.
Right. One of the things that separates this book, I think, most hiking guides are strictly facts and directions, and so I'm including not only trail information, but places to eat and a lot of little sidebars on other things to see and do while in the area, and it's packed with over 170 color photographs, which again, not something you find in most hiking books. Photos aren't very particular, but a lot of the guys I worked with at Arizona Highways magazine, their work is in here, and some other really talented photographers as well. So it's a nice coffee table book.
It is, and then it has sprinkled throughout the book, there are fast facts. And one of the fast facts that I read is Arizona has 2,928 mountain peaks and summits, more than any of the other mountain states. I thought that was really interesting.
I think it's, you know, we have this sort of reputation. I think a lot of people who don't visit think of Arizona as desert, and they think of desert as being flat. And to me, who, you know, before I lived out here full time, I did quite a bit of traveling, and I think Arizona, I think, is the least flat state I've ever been in my life. You know, I grew up in Ohio, for crying out loud. I know flat. I understand flat.
Right.
But Arizona is just, you know, it's never flat. It's all virtual. So I really wanted to bring that out to let people know that, you know, it's full of surprises.
It is.
So.
And I mean, when I read through the book, it's like, oh, I want to go there. I want to go there. Oh, I want to go there.
And I've succeeded. You know, it's my master plan.
Right. So let's talk about PJ's. Where is PJ's?
Oh, in Sedona.
Okay.
That's a great little pub over, and it's kind of in the village of Oak Creek. I'm saying Sedona. I should say the village of Oak Creek. A nice little bar, and got a great jukebox in there, and they make a good old-fashioned bar burger. And
so there's a delicious hamburger there. And then maybe we can pull up some of these photos as we visit about these. Dead Horse Ranch, of course we all know about Dead Horse Ranch, but you talked about the trails. There's Raptor and Thumper, and give the number of miles and how you can find your way around.
Dead Horse is sort of my home field. I do more hiking in Dead Horse than any other place in the state. I'm there just about every week. Anytime I'm in town, I'm over there hiking. And it has something for everyone. If you just want to hike around the lagoons, you know, for a nice, easy stroll, that's fine. But they've got this great system of trails, and the one I included in the book was I call the Thumper Loop, which I think is a pretty common name, but it connects the Lime Kiln Trail, the Thumper, and the Lower Raptor. So you make a nice little, by the time you do the whole loop and back to your car, you've done about 8 miles and stuff. So you're ready for a nice little burger and stuff. But if you just want to do a portion of it, you know, which I do a lot of times, you know, just hike up Lime Kiln for a few miles, come back, or hike up Lower Raptor, come back. And there's, you know, other options in there and stuff. But it's just amazing to me that we live in this beautiful place, and you can just disappear in no time. You know, you get to Dead Horse and you start walking, and you're over that first ridge, and you're just gone. You're out in the desert by yourself and stuff. It's really spectacular.
And even the old Lime Kiln is very interesting.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's just
great history there. Once you know read up about it and stuff, and when you go in spring and the cliff rose are blooming, and the Blackfoot daisies and the desert marigolds and globe mallow, and I think we're going to have a really good wildflower season this year too. I'm very excited.
With that beautiful snow that is just gently melting.
Exactly.
I always say it's good for the aquifer, and it's good for the Verde River and its tributaries. So we welcome every flake and every drop of moisture we can get.
Yeah, celebrate
Absolutely.
Moisture.
So Dead Horse is one of my favorite places too, and you can get an annual pass there, and I say it's the best money I spend all year, and you can go in with your annual pass, or otherwise I think it's $7 for a carload.
Yeah, I think I'm like you. I get an annual national park pass, and I get an annual state park pass, and you know I use them so much that they're paid for in the first month of the year practically.
Absolutely.
And stuff. So it's just they're a
and
bargain.
The Red Rock Pass and all the different passes that help us enjoy nature. So Canyon Loop.
That's down in Tucson. It's a beautiful trail, and again in the state park. It's in Catalina State Park, and it's one of those that's that's a great introduction. It's a very easy little 4-mile loop. Pretty level walking, but it gives you some spectacular views of the backside of the Santa Catalina Mountains. And
beautiful.
As you're partway down the trail, you see this, it's my favorite cactus in the whole state, I think, is there's a mesquite tree that's growing, and about 3 feet off the ground, growing out of the trunk of the tree, is this purple prickly pear. And I just always love that. I think, you know, here's this little prickly pear that said, I'm going to grow with the Sororos. I'm just going to hitch a ride with this mesquite. And he's heading towards the sky, so I admire that.
And then we have Watson Lake Loop, and that probably is in Prescott, I'm guessing.
It is, and absolutely spectacular. I think Prescott, at least I'm sort of guilty of overlooking Prescott sometimes when it comes to hiking trails, because of the area we live. You know, we have the Red Rocks of Sedona very close by. We've got the mountains of Flagstaff. We're not far from the Grand Canyon. And Prescott kind of gets lost in the shuffle a little bit, and that's unfortunate because the Watson Lake area is just spectacular beautiful. Through the granite dells, and that loop is brand new. I mean, they've had trails around the lake, but they just finished the loop at the end of 2012, so it's just a little over a year old. They put in the last section, so now you can do an entire loop around the lake, and it's again about I have the exact mileage there in the book, but it's just under 5 miles, and it gives you a different look as you go around it, and it is just one of my favorite hikes in the state.
Is it connected at all to the Peavine that they have?
Yeah, the Peavine is one of the trails that you use to make the loop. You kind of go from one little trail to another, and for a little while you're on the Peavine, which is sort of that, it's a rails to trails conversion, and it's a sort of a big wide loop, so you're on that for a little section, then you peel off back onto a little single track and drop right into those big granite boulders, and it's just beautiful, just spectacular.
So what about taking your pet for a walk? Is that
you can, in just about all of these trails. The Grand Canyon, no pets are allowed, but on just about every other trail that's in here, leashed pets are welcome. You know, I always say, encourage you to, you know, double check, but they are just about anywhere as long as you, and in the first section I give you a lot of trail etiquette, how to behave on the trail, safety tips, things to bring, that sort of thing, and you know, just as long as your pets are well behaved, or you can keep them under control, keep them on a leash, then yeah, they can go just about anywhere. Except, like I said, I know you can't take them on the trails in the Grand Canyon.
Grand Canyon. North Kaibab, speaking of.
Which would be buried under snow at this point, but is just spectacular. It's just such a beautiful trail. It's one of the steepest in the whole state, but it's if you want to do it as a day trip, you can go down for just a couple of miles, and I give you some turnaround points along the way. I've done it as a rim to rim before, and I know a lot of people do, so there's more things to see, but it's just this incredible viewpoints and spectacular engineering. You really get a Grand Canyon experience when you're heading down there. You feel like you're clinging to this. The trail is just, I mean, it's not a scary trail in that sense, but the work that went into building the trail, you look at it and you go, like, holy cow, how did they do that? I know. But yeah, because you're just strolling down, then you look back and you think, wow,
before engineering was truly a field.
Yeah, so it's really breathtaking. And the North Rim is just so vastly different than the South Rim. Again, closed in winter. They'll reopen in May. Usually middle of May they reopen. And if you've never been to the North Rim, it's a completely different experience than the South Rim.
Driven it, but it's beautiful.
It's about 1,000 feet higher than the South Rim, and it doesn't have the same development. There's only one lodge and some cabins and so forth, so it's just a quieter, more forested place, but a lot of people really, you know, like it better. You know, I like the South Rim. I love them both. I can never get enough of the Grand Canyon, unique. But yeah.
So tell me, you have to really be in shape to be able to do this. Of course you are, because of all the hiking you do, but you know, most of the time when you hear people talk about their experiences in the Grand Canyon hiking, they're telling you about how they almost died on the way up. Or so what have been your experiences?
Well, yeah, I'm pretty a pretty fit and acclimated hiker, although, you know, I've been, with all the book signings, I've been driving around talking about hiking more than I've actually hiking. So I know I need to get back out on the trail a little more. But yeah, one of the things I did in the book, most of the trails, all these trails are pretty easy to find and well-marked day hikes. That's the whole point of a Boots and Burgers day. I'm a very lazy backpacker. I don't like backpacking. I don't like sleeping on the ground. I used to do it more as a kid. Now I'm getting older. I like to hike for miles and miles and miles, but then I'm finished. I like to stop and grab a meal and head home.
Eat and run. Huh?
Exactly. So, but a lot of the trails are moderate. Some are very easy. Some are very short and easy. And then a couple, like at the Grand Canyon, are very difficult, extremely difficult. And you want to be in shape. Yeah. At the end of each trail,
is what you can do.
Yeah. I give you the directions. I give you the length, the difficulty, contact information for the trail. All that sort of information is included with each one. So you can sort of make those choices.
You can make those decisions based on your own abilities.
Yeah.
Telegraph Pass.
That's a beautiful little trail in Yuma. And Yuma doesn't have many hiking trails because it's very valuable farmland. You know, Yuma is one of the few areas that is kind of flat in the state. That's 90% of all winter vegetables that you consume from November to March are grown in Yuma and stuff. So if you're eating a salad now,
that's
the whole country. So if you're eating a salad these days, it was grown in Yuma, chances are. So, but they have these beautiful green fields, and then with some mountains around it. Telegraph Pass is a nice steep little climb. It's 2 miles up to the top. It's a good workout with beautiful views. You can see for miles and miles and miles. So a great little, that's a nice little workout and just a fun hike up through the Mojave Desert. And that's where sort of the Mojave and the Sonoran deserts kind of collide. It's more sparse, kind of, it's a gaunt landscape like the Mojave, but then you'll see some Sororo and Ocotillo. So there's the little leftover of the Sonoran Desert. So very pretty.
All right. It's already time, a little bit past time.
Oh, sorry.
To take our, well, that's okay, to take our second break, and we'll be right back, and we'll have a few more photos about the book.
Headaches and back pain are two of the top reasons people choose Mosing Chiropractic. Dr. Mosing also treats symptoms of numbness and tingling, as well as those injured in auto or work accidents. Dr. Mosing uses gentle chiropractic techniques, as well as electric muscle stim and cold laser therapies. Call Dr. Mosing today at 634-0733. No spine left behind at Mosing Chiropractic.
So the book, new book, Boots and Burgers, features 37 trails, 38 eateries, stunning photographs, trail guides, maps, fascinating fun facts, and attractions. So tell us a little bit about Siphon Draw.
Oh, that's a spectacular trail. That's down in the Superstition Mountains, and it's a great introduction to the Supes on the eastern side of the Phoenix Valley there and stuff. It starts from the Lost Dutchman State Park and takes you right up into the gullet of the mountain. So it's a nice little steep climb at the end. You know, it's a good, hard, moderate workout, but again, beautiful views. And if we do have a wildflower season, that is one of the absolute best places to see.
A beautiful place.
Yeah.
And probably this is a good time of the year to take that hike.
Oh, yeah, yeah, this would be really
January,
ideal.
February, March.
Right
April probably getting a little bit warm. Cochise Trail.
Oh, you know, out of all the days that I spent doing the hikes for the book, I think that might have been my favorite day.
Really?
That was one of the best days of all. And I love that trail. And again, it's down in your neck of the woods in the Dragoon Mountains. And in Cochise County, and it takes you up to where the Cochise stronghold. That's where he and the Chiricahua Apaches held out for years and years and years, and you understand why once you're up there. You see this maze, this granite maze, these jumbled boulders, and once you're up there, you have these viewpoints. You can actually see Fort Huachuca from up there in the mountains.
Wow.
So they could see the Army when they left the gate. They could see the Army 2 days before they would arrive there and stuff. So it was, but it's just such a beautiful country. And I'd hiked that trail many times, but it had been a few years since I'd been on it, and I wanted to include it in the book. And I was hiking, and I thought, how could I have stayed away for so long? It was just so gorgeous.
Be going
so much
back
fun.
there more
yeah,
often.
Yeah.
I know as I read through, some of the things on the web, I think they were from the Arizona Republic links. I'm like emailing my husband, I want to go here, I want to go here. So now we're going to talk a little bit about food real quick, and the brulee burger.
Oh, that's
Tell me about the brulee burger.
That's one of the specialties of the house down in Paradise Valley Burger Company that follows one of the Phoenix trails there in the north part of the valley. And he just specializes. He does these, really fancy specialty burgers, but they're really inexpensive. It's a tiny little place in the strip mall, and he likes to keep it pretty bare bones, but so he can put everything into the burgers themselves. But a really tasty burger he does down there.
Okay, and then we have the Diablo burger. Diablo.
They're in Flagstaff, but then they also have opened one in Tucson. Real nice folks, very eco-conscious. They work with the local beef and use all local products pretty much, but really delicious burgers. And again, a nice range of specialty burgers. The only thing they do, they put them on an English muffin, which I think works for a lot of the more complicated burgers. I keep my burgers pretty simple usually, but the muffin adds a nice little crunch to it there, and it's a really interesting burger, but in Flagstaff and in Tucson.
So you can buy the book and find out all about these burgers. I do want to mention a couple of my favorite places that are mentioned in the book, the Verde Lee Market in Cottonwood.
Great burgers, and torta, everything he makes is delicious.
It's delicious,
yeah.
And then the Haunted Hamburger in Jerome.
Absolutely. And if you've never sat out on the deck and eaten a burger in the spring or summertime in Jerome, you've really missed out on an Arizona experience.
Absolutely. It's just so beautiful looking over the deck if you can sit outside. And my husband and I have eaten there, gosh, for what, 25 years now. And so those are two great places, and I'm glad they were included. And I must say that I'm pretty proud that you're from Cottonwood.
I am. This is my hometown, and I try to tout it as much as I possibly can.
You do.
I write about it in the Arizona Republic. My editor is very gracious about sort of letting me write about the neighborhood.
Oh, another
over
Old Town story, right?
Yeah, she's very patient about that.
Yes, and you've recently covered some stories on Clarkdale, and so we really appreciate you drawing attention, and that helps our restaurants and our hotels and our economy, so you do a lot to contribute to that.
Thank you. I like to support my neighbors, and when there's something worth supporting, and there certainly is. This is a vibrant, happening little place now, and Cottonwood is just, it's a joy and a pleasure now with all the great restaurants and all. I've always loved Cottonwood, but 15 years ago, the restaurants were a little thinner than they are now.
Right.
And then once the wine tasting rooms opened and some of the restaurants followed, and now people are driving for it. It's very easy for me to write about and encourage people to come up here and eat and stuff. So
and I loved your story, and I refer to it often. Your article about Cottonwood being the place for hot cuisine and the place to go to eat. So
a foodie's delight.
Absolutely. So quickly, we just have another minute, but where can a person buy your books, and do you want to hold
Sure.
up
I've got
all
Boots
three?
and Burgers and Arizona Kicks on Route 66, and then Death Valley, Hottest Place on Earth. They're all available at Desert Dancer in Cottonwood. They're also available at Adventure Books in Old Town. They're available at the Western Heritage Gallery up in Jerome. They're at Boots and Burgers is at Verde Lee Market. They're at a lot of shops around the area, and you can always go to my web page and email me or my Facebook page and write, and I'll be happy to direct you to one that's closer. And of course, they're all on Amazon if for anyone who can't get out and about or something. But I always encourage people to buy local when you can.
Absolutely, happy to know those neat stores that they're in. And so the last thing is, we just have a minute, but what about 2015? What's on the horizon?
Well, another book is coming up, but I can't say specifically what it is until I sign the contract, which should be in the next couple of weeks. But I will be writing 3 feature stories each month for the Arizona Republic. On Saturdays, I do the lead feature for Explore Arizona. I'm doing one on military histories, a new series I'm doing for the paper this year, military history around the state. I'm also doing a series called Roger Naylor's Arizona, which is pretty cool for a freelancer to have his name in the title, and I just go whatever I feel like writing about that month, wherever my travels. And the third one is always sort of a wild card story, with depending on the season and whatever my editor wants to assign me or whatever idea I come up with. So, but you can usually find me just about any Saturday in the Arizona Republic.
All right, so it's rogernaylor.com?
Yes.
Okay, so rogernaylor.com.
Easy enough to find out.
You have been a great guest,
Thank you for
I'm looking
having me. It's always a
forward
pleasure.
to having you back when you write your next book, or maybe even sooner than that. And I just want to say again, thank you so much for what you do, not only for Cottonwood, the Verde Valley, but the whole state of Arizona, and bringing the public information to help them enjoy this as you do.
Get out and see it all.
Thank you very much, Roger.
Thank you.
And that's the way it is in Cottonwood.